Hey folks, Neb Cinema here. Today marks a bit of a special occasion. I decided to upload yesterday's win that took us from Plat to Diamond for the first time. So it's not a splashy game, there's definitely some interesting bits. So I decided to upload the video, uncut, and narrate the game for anyone interested in following along or just curious what kind of strategy went into our series of back-to-back wins. So without further ado, let's check it out. So here off the jump, looks a little bit twitchy. See me flicking around. I'm just checking to make sure that we're not being followed. This tends to be a little bit tricky. These are high tier loot areas. They tend to be really popular, so you gotta be careful not to get a surprise challenger. And we're actually really lucky. That's why I decided to land on the ground floor. Is that way I could clean up everything down here. Start to build my loadout and then work my way to the floor up top. The landing rotation here, to keep it efficient, there's elevator shaft and sky decks. So it's usually best to try to grab something nice early and get the really good stuff up top.
That's got my name written all over it. Attention.
Strategy-wise, I tend to treat early looting like a draft. So you want to get in there and grab whatever you can at first. You know, sometimes there's a fight that you didn't see coming. And then slowly upgrade things depending on what's directly in front of you. So I definitely have an ideal loadout that I'm going for. But in this case, just happy to take what's there. Slowly work your way up.
Energy ammo here.
And I think for my future videos, I'll make sure to keep the chatter. There's a lot of talk going back and forth. Like, we're making sure we know what each other is running, what our preferred loadouts are. So we've definitely played together a few times. And
Wings out.
trying to figure out. Yeah, this is where I decided to switch from the hemlock to the bow, which I was kind of thinking about from the past couple games.
Hemlock here.
As up until this point, I made it through the entirety of Plat running mostly the hemlock and the car. And then got a suggestion from a buddy of mine to give the bow another try. It's definitely a favorite of mine, but I wasn't sure whether or not it'd be great to run in ranked. Turns out it's fantastic once you get to around diamond or so. It's really good for poke damage. Again, I'm not worried about making too much noise just because it's early yet, and I think we were dropped alone. Of course, the clock's ticking. You know, and as things progress, it becomes more likely that you're going to get pushed or third-partied.
Check your maps.
Seems like we still got some time.
Barrel stabilizer here. Level 2.
So if I remember correctly, I think today was shotgun stuff in the replicator. It's usually not great to switch from, say, one type of weapon to another this far into a loadout. I guess the major issue is finding ammo. So if we got pushed now,
Evo shield here.
Wouldn't be awesome. So Kyle over there, he's got enough mats. He wants to upgrade the shield from blue to purple. And this way all three of us have purple. Since we didn't get a fight off the drop, we do have to worry about getting enough damage points to upgrade our shields. So anybody we run into after this is probably going to be running purple or red.
Heavy ammo here. Wings out.
All right, I'm checking our rotation.
Over here.
Try to keep us on the back of the circle. just to minimize the possibility of getting third-partied if we do have a confrontation.
Coming in.
And this is when I realized I forgot to pick up that purple backpack.
Wings out.
So I'm rummaging in these bins, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's white. So for the eagle-eyed, if you do rewind a little bit, you will see that
Wings up.
I tried to grab it, and it didn't. So maybe I tricked myself into thinking I had it. And it is close enough that taking the risk.
Kill leader eliminated.
But can he get there in time?
Wings out.
Hey, look at all that ammo I forgot. Alright. Now my buddy's yelling at me that there's a squad. They are backing up. So they're not pinned in yet. So we don't really have a fight unless we want to commit to it. And I've got just enough time to get there.
Giving my shields a recharge.
Wings up.
And again, that's the magic of the Gibby Dome. That
Station, we are go for burn.
even in the middle of a fight, you can decide to just pack up and ship out.
Let's scope this quadrant out here.
And the main reason that we're running Gibby.
On this flight, though you'll wish to die, soon enough. We kill her.
This is, so here I'm taking a short jump. One, because we want to look for a little more ammo, but two, we want to gatekeep. So in case that squad does decide to push us, we've got high ground and cover. So we can control the fight, and they're stuck out in the open.
Energy ammo here.
At this point, we're noticing that the ring's getting a little bit close. And so we're going to take what looks like the safest rotation. Because we still don't feel like we're on our front
We can
foot
cruise
yet.
over here.
We picked this spot just because it's accessible to Gibby. Yep, and I'm ready and checking my weapons, make sure everything's reloaded and set up primary, secondary. And if I was on mouse and keyboard, that's where you'd see me wall bounce and do some kind of fancy trickery. But no, this is console. I am curious to see how things change when we get that 120 frames per second update, that whole next gen thing going on. Should be some nice stuff, not just eye candy.
Round two.
They're next on my list.
Ring countdown.
More kills. What's over here?
And here's really the first time we're worried about running into somebody. So those towers are really popular.
Hey, brothers. Replicator incoming.
So they happen to be some of the densest loot on the whole map.
I'm not satisfied yet.
Eliminated.
We can cruise over here.
The downside is they're pretty exposed. So we're discussing whether or not we want to take a tower, which tower to take, and also how to avoid getting sniped.
We can scan this area.
Enemy spot. Forget that.
So now we're looking at the clock,
Ultimate's ready.
sort of the
Say
timer
word
on
and
that
we'll be in the clouds.
that ring.
I say we move this way.
Because if we get stuck up there too long, we don't want to draw too much attention.
Here now.
That is a lot of open ground to cross. And now since it's still quiet.
Extended heavy med. Light ammo here. Light ammo here.
Alright, and that's our first hint of baddies, as they say. And that's
I'll
not
take
us.
Found a hop up here. Boosted loader.
Barrel stabilizer here. Level 3.
There's a new kill leader, and it isn't me.
But
Wings up.
one of my favorite mottos in this game: loot quick, loot often.
Found some arrows here.
Oh,
R301 here. Extended light mag here. Standard stock here. Level 3.
Wings out.
Found some arrows here.
Warning. Movement in
Wings up.
so yeah, Saucy decided he wanted to do some replicating. Craft a couple batteries,
Got ourselves a bandit out there.
which is interesting considering that
Give me a
the
damn
front is right on our doorstep.
attention.
It's coming in.
Care package.
care package coming down.
Attention. There is a new kill leader.
New kill leader. But they haven't won yet.
Optics here. Shield battery here.
Wings out.
So yeah, that was the last item on the shopping list, getting some kind of optic. And Kyle upgraded to something. So every time we make one of those bats, it sends off like a giant blue flash.
Nothing over here.
So
Mother would love
this
hearing you
is
say that.
insane.
We move this way. Already in the ring. This is gonna be fun.
Like that we haven't been pushed 3 times over. It's just virtue of us having high ground and back of ring, so.
We can scan this
Yeah.
area.
We're feeling that clock. And it's time to get back upstairs.
Light ammo here.
So I'm maxed out, pretty comfortable. And we don't have an immediate fight, so I'm just gonna sit here and watch our back.
Watching that quadrant like a hawk.
And I'm sitting in the bin because it's bulletproof.
Skin bag over there.
And listening intently.
Someone's out there. Not a boat. Spot some arrows here.
I'll bag that.
Never mind that. Skin suit over there.
So tag on those in case I need them later. Decide that I want to ship them now. So most likely scenario here is a long-range fight,
Hostile spotted.
where we're just sitting there and poking back and forth until somebody gets hit from behind. Again, quiet. Down to 6 squads. I think the most notable difference between Platinum and Diamond lobbies is at this point in the game is going to be anywhere from,
Some good news.
oh man, 6 to 12 squads in a small space.
Spotted a target.
So you're going to see
Hey,
every
care package.
angle,
I love these things.
or well, every ounce stretched out of every angle. Squeezed, squeezed.
Spotted a target over there. Enemy over
And here we go.
I shot him.
So if we're the last to engage,
Someone's got a death wish.
that means we're in the most advantageous position. Because to win a game, you only need to win the last fight.
Round 4. Beginning ring countdown.
Looks like we're the next ring.
No either. Got a skin bag out there.
If you look at the upper right-hand corner, you'll notice I'm still at negative points. So I'm being very cautious. Again, that's one reason why it's really awesome to have an early fight. Gonna get you some KP. All you have to do is hit the top.
Target over there.
I don't know if it's like 6 or 7 now. Keeps you moving upward.
Hostile spotted.
Got another bandit.
So this is our first sight of an opponent's squad.
Nobody panic.
And I
Got bandits out there.
think I see something off in those buildings, so I'm gonna take a look. 'Cause if I was pushing us, that's where I would start.
Target
It's
over there.
just close enough.
Target spotted.
There's tons of cover. Still got 5 squads. That's 2. That's 3.
Skin bag over there.
Should be surprised at how much of this game is just counting stuff.
Only 2 squads left.
Taking fire, Ross.
And some test shots, I realize I'm not really in range. But that guy is open season.
Fox 3, sending it home. Frag out.
So he can't move. He's pinned. He's cracked. It's 2 squads behind him. He's panicking. And he's dead.
Enemy down.
Already in the ring. This is gonna be fun. Killed one.
Okay. And there's the aggressor squad. Whoever was behind him.
Opening fire.
They start to push us, but then they get third partied.
Bogey in sight.
Alright. So here's us doing a rev
Wings
push.
Fox 3, launching missile.
And I'm blind on that corner. It's probably the last spot we'll see, so I go ahead and try to stun preemptively.
Bandit here.
I figure that the team is playing this edge. They're hugging the wall so that they have limited exposure.
Shields on that bandit.
And I'm trying to decide whether I should play the wall or the tower.
Ultimate accelerant here.
And Saucy lets me know that there's 1 squad left. So if I could keep them pinned,
Recharging shields.
puts us in a good spot.
Wings out.
Be my shield, skin bag.
So their move here is try to wrap left.
Civilian and airstrike. Recharging shield.
I noticed that the dudes are getting up in the tower. They'll have high ground on us. So I push through,
Got one.
try to
Enemy
eliminate as much of the threat as I can.
fire. Reloading.
Enemy reloading here.
This is me sort of weighing things a little bit,
Could use some help.
deciding that it's more important to heal than...
Enemy shield cracked.
Okay,
Wings up. Got a bandit.
he's self-res, so he's weak.
Bandit down.
Reloading.
This time I'm 4 bars, so I decide to send it.
Reloading.
And I'm gonna keep that Gibby pinned just long enough for my buddies to take over.
Recharging shield.
And then since he's panicking, I'm just gonna heal up full. And I'm making sure that they're strong enough, my teammates are strong enough, and they've got enough shields to deal with them.
Taking fire, brother.
Wings out. You are the Apex
Yeah, thanks for
champions.
watching. Thanks for joining me today. And catch you next time. Whoa, gorilla hands.